is this a conspiracy? Yes, it could very well be not an illegal conspiracy, but some kind of conspiracy that everyone banned him at the same time. You have the freedom of association. That would be your access to speech. But so the government can't limit your ability to associate with other people and entities. It's disgusting that someone would be so into their conspiracy theory character. Hello and welcome, everyone. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and this is the second episode of Tactical Bra's Tactical Briefs. Welcome, welcome. This is a segment where our staff researcher, Tactical Bra, joins us in the studio. She has researched a topic that I know almost nothing about, at least the facts and context, and she will present the information to me, and you'll get to appreciate my genuine reaction as it happens, as it unfolds. Today's topic has something to do with Alex Jones. That's really all I know. Take it away, Tactical.
Are you excited? I'm so excited.
I'm a little excited. I get to wear my tinfoil hat.
Yeah, so I thought today we would talk about Alex Jones getting booted from a whole plethora of social media platforms. And
okay.
Then hopefully we get to talk a little bit about what are the implications for freedom of speech. And I feel like Alex Jones needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. So he's the head of InfoWars and also operates NewsWars, Prison Planet, Freedom Speech Systems, and InfoWars Health. And so throughout this, just for transparency's sake, I'm going to be equating Alex Jones with his businesses quite a bit, because some of the actions have been against his businesses. Some of it has been against his personal pages.
So for the purposes of our discussion, if we're saying that someone's suing InfoWars or whatever, we're just going to say they're suing Alex Jones. They're sort of synonymous.
Yeah. And very much he is the figurehead and the public face of that. So that's something lots of people are doing.
Okay.
So I thought first I want to play a little game. Alex Jones it's fair to call him a conspiracy theorist. So I wanted to list some conspiracy theories, and I wanted you to guess whether he or his companies have ever shown support for these theories. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm game.
NASA runs a secret space program, and the moon landings were misrepresented.
I mean, that sounds like a well-known conspiracy theory. So I'm going to say yes, Alex Jones probably supported that.
He does.
Okay.
9/11 was an inside job.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's something Alex Jones would support.
Yeah. Santa Claus is being used by the government to make children accept mass surveillance.
I mean, that definitely sounds like an Alex Jones thing. So I'm going to have to say it's definitely plausible, and therefore yes.
I made it up. But I'm not 100% sure he's never said it.
You can't be sure that he hadn't come up with something very similar to that at some point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I made it up.
I mean, how many hundreds of hours of Alex Jones footage did you watch for this?
Oh God, not gonna lie, I might have
0.1 of 100 hours. 0.1 or 0.01?
I might have watched a few clips on your YouTube account by accident. So enjoy your YouTube suggestions.
Oh goodness, I'm on a list now. No wonder we're demonetized and depromoted. Alex Jones supporters.
So what about vaccines are harmful?
Well, I mean, duh.
Yeah. So
that's an Alex Jones. That sounds like Alex Jones.
There are chemicals in our tap water that turn people and frogs gay and decrease IQ.
I've definitely heard that from Alex Jones.
President Trump is actually a lizard person.
Now, see, I don't know, because Alex Jones, I haven't heard him say too many terrible things about President Trump.
I did make it up. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, caught. I got it. I got one.
Pizzagate.
I have heard the lizard person thing, though. I've definitely that's a common conspiracy theory that there's like a secret society of lizard people living among us that are all disguised to look like humans.
Yeah.
Now, where I would believe that there's a secret society of people living among us who are actual people who act like lizards, but
Is it really secret though?
I still think they're real people, and I think they just choose to different strokes, different folks, and some people are just a little weird.
Yeah. What about Pizzagate?
That sounds like an Alex Jones support thing. That was against the opposing party.
Yeah.
And I think he might jump on board with that one.
Yeah, there might have been some videos posted to his website that fanned the flames.
Another super weird conspiracy theory. I couldn't even tell you. It's at this point they're so weird. Like I can't even. That's the point, isn't it? You don't even have anything to say about it.
What about Justice Scalia died during a meeting of an offshoot of the Illuminati?
Oh, that sounds like a possibility, but I don't know. I'm going to call your bluff on that one.
No, that's true.
Got me that time.
And it's still up on his website.
It's still up on his website.
Yeah. So Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist. I think that's fair to say, and he gets sued a lot. Says a lot of things that get him into trouble. We've had the video with Matt Fury, the creator of Pepe the Frog, suing to get InfoWars to stop selling a poster with that image. He's also been sued by the parents of the victims of Sandy Hook because
that's a sad one.
For defamation, because he kind of fanned the flames of the conspiracy theories that the shooting was a hoax with crisis actors.
Yeah, that's damaging. That's super damaging to people.
Yogurt maker Chobani also sued for defamation when he claimed their program to hire refugees brought rapists and crime and tuberculosis to the area surrounding the plant.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, and he's been sued by Brennan Gilmore, who is the person who filmed the guy who drove the car into the group of people in Charlottesville. Yeah, because he got doxxed on the InfoWars website, so he was suing Alex Jones.
So the perpetrator is suing?
No, the person who filmed.
Person who filmed. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And Alex, the website might have suggested that Brendan Gilmore was involved with the CIA and perhaps paid by George Soros. So yeah, he has a history of saying some things and doing things that have very real and negative consequences. So now you take all of that. He's been doing this for years and years, though. July 11th, Facebook had an event to announce their plans to fight fake news. And a CNN reporter asked why Facebook still allowed InfoWars on their site if they were trying to fight fake news. Facebook responded that they saw pages on both the right and the left that gave opinion or analysis that could be considered fake news, but it would be against the principles of freedom of speech to ban them. But 2 weeks later, YouTube removed 4 of Jones's videos for hate speech and child endangerment violations. So according to TechCrunch, the videos contain Islamophobic statements, displayed a clip of a child being thrown to the ground to illustrate how to prevent liberalism. So on July 27th, Facebook gave Jones a 30-day posting ban and removed 4 videos on Facebook for encouraging physical harm or attacks on another person based on their religious or gender identity. August 1st, Spotify removed specific episodes of the Alex Jones Show podcast for violating their hate content policy.
You can put podcasts on Spotify?
I guess so.
Well, here we come.
So August 2nd, Stitcher announced they removed all of Jones's podcasts because he had repeatedly harassed or allowed the harassment of private individuals and or organizations, and that his actions had led listeners to engage in similar harassment or other damaging activity. Then Apple removed 5 of his 6 podcasts from iTunes for violations of their hate speech policy. August 6th.
Almost sounds coordinated. Does this all happen at approximately the same time?
Oh, yeah, we're just getting started.
Wow.
August 6th, Facebook said they removed 4 of Jones's pages for repeatedly violating community standards. So not just like individual videos or giving him a posting ban, they actually fully depublished 4 of the pages for violating their graphic violence and hate speech policies. And then we start to get a little ridiculous. So the same day, August 6th, Pinterest took down InfoWars for repeatedly saving content that could lead to harm. And
just saving content, just pinning content.
Pinning content that
Here, we're going to aggregate content on Pinterest. We don't like that. Oh, get going.
And also on August 6th, YouPorn banned Alex Jones content from their site. And I know what you're thinking.
I'm assuming it was his regular content that was posted to YouPorn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know that you're thinking that's probably just a publicity stunt. They're just trying to get attention or whatever. But apparently, because YouPorn has a liberal approach to copyright, we'll call it, there was actually quite a bit of Alex Jones stuff on there. So they did actually go and remove a bunch of it. So then the next day...
Well, I mean, the sex worker and such community has always been a very equal community.
Yeah.
It is not a community where, racism and phobias and things are welcome. In fact, it's quite the opposite, if I understand correctly.
Yeah. So then the next day, LinkedIn banned Alex Jones for violating its terms of service, and that they strive to create a platform where the exchange of ideas by professionals can happen without harmful misinformation, bullying, harassment, or hate. Same day, MailChimp also stopped their service with Alex Jones.
So no more email through MailChimp?
I guess so, because they don't allow the dissemination of hateful content. August 11th, Discus. I hope I'm saying that right. So it's a thing to allow comments on your website. They stopped their services with Alex Jones. And then August 12th, Vimeo deleted.
No more comments.
Yeah.
Vimeo, professional video hosting services.
Yep.
Okay.
And on August 13th, Jones also indicated that Flickr, Sprout, and TuneIn had ended their services.
He was using Flickr?
I guess
to host his stuff? Like, how does that even work? Flickr's like videos and photos, so I guess he's hosting his videos on Flickr? Whatever. I mean, that's interesting. I would prefer, though, if people were so well educated and good at being skeptical and critical thinking and all that they would be able to evaluate Alex Jones's ideas and just go, and he would just die the slow death of not having any business, basically.
But I guess on August 13th, Jones did tweet that they could take all of those services away from him, but they would not take his Tumblr. So apparently he has upped his Tumblr game. I'm not sure that that's going to be...
Does he know somebody at Tumblr, or are you about to drop the hammer and Tumblr banned him too?
I have not seen that Tumblr has banned him.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's still on Tumblr as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
But through all of this, everyone's crying for why isn't Twitter also banning him? And so then August 15th, Twitter banned Alex Jones for 7 days.
Oh, for 7 days.
Yeah, so they suspended his ability
to
tweet for linking a video in which he tells listeners to have their battle rifles ready at their bedsides, which I guess is encouraging people to commit violence. I'm not even sure anymore. Maybe in context, it sounds more threatening.
Yeah, I mean, in context, it's probably not necessary. Not to say that I don't have like security by my bedside in case there was something that goes bump in the night, but to tell people like, by the way, they're coming for you, is a little bit different than, hey, you had a fake cop chase you a couple weeks ago and nobody's found him yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's pretty much where we stand right now. He still has a couple social media platforms that he's active on, and he often had multiple accounts on these. So some of the accounts could be banned, but he still had other accounts or other pages. And now he's branding himself and InfoWars as the most censored news program in the Northern Hemisphere.
Okay.
So my first
Sure.
question, I guess, is this a globalist conspiracy to silence him because he's the only one brave enough and informed enough to give us the truth and the lies out there in this corrupt world?
Oh, yeah, there were 2 or 3 things in there. Is this a conspiracy? Yes, it could very well be not an illegal conspiracy, but some kind of conspiracy that everyone banned him at the same time. I'm not entirely sure that there weren't emails going back and forth between Facebook and YouTube and all that, executives going like, hey, we're about to ban Alex Jones. We just want to let you know we're going to do it on this date. I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything illegal about that. Is it a conspiracy because he tells the truth? No, he's a shock jock. He's the same as any other radio station or podcast person who simply says shocking things to get views. If anyone looks even somewhat skeptically at his assertions, the context becomes clear, and it seems like he takes most of his conspiracy theories and such intentionally out of context and uses careful wording or careful interpretation of someone else's wording. It's willful. It's a show. He's a character. And what he does not get is that many viewers can't tell the difference between his character and a news program. And while we have freedom of speech in this country, freedom of speech means the government can't censor him. And so notice that none of those services are the U.S. government. So this also extends to things that would be acting on behalf of the U.S. government. So I've seen a few people try to make the argument that somehow Facebook or Twitter or whatever they've reached some level where they are a state actor. That's not what a state actor is. Someone had a very interesting question. They cited a real case, where a corporation ran a town. Think of Walt Disney World. It's so big, it basically takes up the entire county, and basically the business has control of the entire county. Now, that's not exactly how the county and Walt Disney World are set up. In the scenario that someone posed, though, it was a town that was run by a corporation. And this is normal. If you have a middle of nowhere discovery of a resource like oil or gold or lithium or something like that, there's going to be a mining company that moves in, and then there's going to be services that crop up. And what if the mining company just buys up all the land and then opens up shops and all that? Well, if it starts to look like a town needs a government, and a government needs to abide by the Constitution. So that's the only scenario where a private actor might be subject to the Constitution as their standard for free speech, is if that town then has like a newspaper or something, and it tries to stifle the newspaper when it says bad stuff about the town or about the oil industry or whatever. If I move to that town and I want to buy property, they can't discriminate against housing laws. If I want to publish a newspaper, they can't discriminate against my free speech. And if I want to criticize them, they can't make a law or take action that says that I can't criticize them. That's not because they're a private corporation or anything. That's because they're running a town. Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, while large and almost monopolistic by many standards, they aren't a town. No one is looking for government services on Twitter. You might be able to find government services on Twitter, but that's more of an accessibility thing. The government services still lead back to a government agency on their website and everything like that. No one is acting like a state actor in this case. So they each have their own terms of service, and while I haven't read them because it would take years, it seems like they would have written into their terms of service that they can ban people for basically any reason, and maybe they put some community guidelines in there, so it seems like there's some kind of consistency and equality and all that. But especially if they've cited specific things that Alex Jones did that aren't acceptable on their platforms, and even if not, they have every right to control what is seen on their platform and not. I do not think this is an infringement on Alex Jones' constitutional right to free speech. No.
Mm-hmm.
If I, just to be exceedingly clear, many people use the words free speech to mean something broader than government or constitutional level free speech. I mean, Alex Jones is not being censored by a government or state actor, and therefore constitutional free speech, First Amendment, does not even apply.
Mm-hmm.
That said, is he being censored by Facebook and Twitter and all? Absolutely. Yeah, they have the absolute, but they have the right to. Just like you would have the right to say that Alex Jones can or can't come onto your property, or just like you would have the right to say you do or don't want to bake a custom wedding cake for Alex Jones. You have, they have the right to say we don't want Alex Jones on our Facebook or on our Twitter or whatever, on our platform.
One of the things that stood out to me about this, though, that you've touched on, is the idea that Alex Jones has been around for a long time. And he's been saying this stuff for a long time. And yet all of these bans and deleted content all seem to happen at the same time, which makes it look like maybe they're doing this for the optics of it. Maybe they're doing it for a public relations reason rather than a strict adherence to their policies.
Well, I mean, when they came for us in the adpocalypse and you stayed silent, what did you expect it was going to happen? They came for Alex Jones next. No, I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating. The platform can be tailored that way, but I definitely think there was something to the timing of it. I don't know if it was a coordinated conspiracy or if everyone just saw the writing on the wall at the same time, or within mere hours of one another, they all said, hey, this guy's going to do it. Well, let's get on board while Facebook's doing it, or while YouTube's doing it, or let's just get it done. Because if there's a time to do it, now is the time. We're going to be able to hide it underneath YouTube or Twitter, whoever's banning him. No one's going to, care that Pinterest banned him because, everybody else did too. So that makes sense. But it also seems like it could be a coordinated thing. I'm not actually sure there's any illegal or unethical reason why it couldn't have been a coordinated thing. I honestly, if I was acting like a shithead, I would expect to be treated that way, and I would expect to be censored that way. Alex Jones has been acting like that for a very long time. Yes, they could have banned him before, but people also evolve and grow. The people like Mark Zuckerberg, who were young when they started Facebook, are now middle-aged and are starting to think of children, their own children, are starting to think of others maybe. I know we like to make fun of Mark Zuckerberg and how he seems like a robot or psychopathic or whatever, but those are just sort of derogatory remarks, and I'm sure that there's a human being under there. I haven't met the guy. I can't speak for him. But assuming there's a human being under there, or at least there's staff and leadership within the community and the corporation, someone is going to say like, hey, by the way, this platform has to mature if it's going to survive whatever is coming. Also, remember, Congress has been doing more and more and has been watching more and more since the alleged Russian meddling thing that's going on. Not to bring up that, but Congress did notice that, and Congress has started questioning whether Facebook and its fake news was allowing meddling in elections in an illegal or unethical way. And since then, that was earlier in the summer, that was earlier in the spring. So since then, these sorts of things have been slowly creeping along. That could have been an offshoot of this is the self-policing of the corporate community, because if they don't self-police, surely Congress will police it for them.
Now, if Congress is putting pressure on Facebook and other platforms to clean up their fake news problem, does that bring the First Amendment into it any more? Because it's sort of by proxy, right?
If it's direct pressure, then that is government or state action. So I'm doubting that it is the kind of pressure that anyone is going to be able to maintain a court action over. I chose my language carefully. I don't mean that you couldn't sue. I just I mean I don't think you could maintain a court action. It would not survive. You would not win. Once Congress makes a law that says Facebook has to limit fake news, that becomes some kind of prior restraint on speech, and a court will have to evaluate whether it is an unconstitutional prior restraint or not. So far, the Supreme Court has been very liberal, is almost the word I would use, very broad in their definition of freedom of speech, and almost anything that even smacks of speech or expression becomes protected.
One of the things that people that I talked to brought up was the idea that when you have so many companies all doing this at once, that it changes basically what speech is easily accessible. That we can think that we have access to all of this speech, but you actually have quite a bit where the companies are deleting it or suppressing it or banning it or whatever. And, do we really want these companies to be the arbitrators of what is acceptable to hear in our society?
Well, that's not how freedom of speech is written. I appreciate the sentiment that we want to make sure that everyone has access to all the information, but that's never been the way society has been run. There have always been it's not even considered censorship. It's just you put your message out. Even my own channel, Lawful Masses, we have our own message. We try to go sort of somewhat down the middle or stay a little bit apolitical and try to go after the facts and critique and skepticism and critical thinking and all that. But, you're allowed to have a slant. You're allowed to conduct your business the way you want. So it's not that there's someone out there intentionally limiting access so that people don't have access. Well, because it's more of just a business thing. There's somebody out there who's trying to put out a Facebook platform and keep it clean enough that friends and family and parents and consumers will want to use it. Emphasis on consumers. Then there's actors out there who want to make videos let's say us, like just creators who just want to create wholesome content that nobody could ever complain about. Then there are those out there who do want to limit access because limiting access means they can continue to exploit an advantage that they have. Maybe they own a product, and as long as you don't know that OxyClean is simply commercial laundry detergent that's been repackaged with a shiny package, you'll pay 10 times more. So, maybe OxyClean spent money to make sure that you really thought OxyClean was somehow better than commercial grade laundry detergent that costs 10 times less. So that's what happens. Like OxyClean's allowed to mix up the muddy the waters a little bit with their speech. They're not saying that you can buy cheaper laundry detergent. They're not saying that theirs is the least cheap laundry detergent of the same chemical composition. They don't have to say that. They just say their message, and then it's up to you to think critically. It's the opposite. So there isn't any protection for access to speech. There is zero protection. That is not written into the Constitution. You have the freedom of association. That would be your access to speech. But so the government can't limit your ability to associate with other people and entities in an illegal way. And that's also a free speech right. It's considered part of the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. But this isn't that. Limiting your access to Alex Jones content is a second step. It's like a second step in the proximate cause inquiry, the inquiry of how legally connected we are. The first step is that they have the right to limit Alex Jones on their platform. It's a secondary effect that means that you can't find Alex Jones on Twitter or whatever during his ban. I understand the thought, but legally it's the backwards way of looking at it. First, we look at the effect of the Constitution and the freedom of speech and the case law that's from that, and then we look at the operation of that and the effects after it. There is no protection whatsoever for that angle of access to speech, none whatsoever.
So, if you had someone who was concerned that certain types of political views are not easy to disseminate, that they Facebook says it's against their terms of service, YouTube says it's against their terms of service, and so on. So what's the answer for them if most of these big, large corporations say you're not welcome here?
That's getting exiled. That's the same old concept that we've had for ages of, if you exile someone, how will they survive? And it's great that we feel bad for people who get exiled, like the generic person who gets exiled.
Yeah, the generic person.
Let's look at the context. The person we're talking about getting exiled has probably damaged emotionally the parents of children that were killed in Sandy Hook by a murderous, rampaging lunatic. Mm-hmm. And they're dealing with the primary consequences of that, something no one should have to deal with. And along comes, frankly, I'm going to characterize a little bit, so apologize if you're offended, but this idiot comes along and has to make it worse, has to put secondary consequences onto the Sandy Hook parents, who now have to go to court. I don't know if you remember, the argument was that they have no privacy right in their names and addresses, and Alex Jones should be able to publish their names and addresses as part of the ongoing lawsuit. And I don't mean that anyone in the legal document I saw didn't indicate that they meant published to a website, but rather that it will be published in court papers, which of course will make it onto websites. And so this was seeking a protective order, and this was an argument against the protective order, I think. And it's frankly, it's disgusting that someone would be so into their conspiracy theory character that either he's lost himself and he doesn't understand that he's not, human beings are different from that character, or he really thinks that this is like what reality is. And I don't even know. There is also no way or duty that you can't have a government come along and say, okay, well, we've got to capture Alex Jones and send him off for re-education training. Mm-hmm. By the way they do that, you can read about what they do in China when you are not educated properly and you speak out against the government or something. You're sent off to a concentration camp called a re-education camp. And this is... they have control. They can do whatever they want. Some people are just held. Some people are tortured. It's basically anything you can think of. Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make it clear, I'm totally not offended if you characterize Alex Jones as an idiot. And I should probably...
He's a willful idiot. That makes it worse. He knows what he's doing.
I should probably say for the YouTube comments that the questions that I'm asking aren't necessarily indicative of my own perspective, but I wanted to give you the chance to explore some of the nuances of this. So I wanted to ask some harder questions rather than just be like,
sure,
of course, you're right.
So Alex Jones' freedom of speech issues are more or less private freedom of speech issues, and not really something that comes about as part of a government action, and therefore a constitutional freedom of speech thing doesn't come into it. So this is really just a thing that happened. I don't know that there's a terribly great argument. I'm not saying that someone won't try, but I don't think it's a terribly great argument in any sort of alleging any sort of constitutional violation with Alex Jones being banned from all these platforms.
Makes sense.
So what do you think, lawful masses? Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below, like or dislike this video as you see fit, and of course share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of our videos. This is a community-supported channel. Please visit patreon.com/ljfrench if you would like to support our efforts to make more and better videos like this. Thank you very much to our August Patreon supporters at the $50 level: Jonathon Doe, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Andy, Kyle Mudrak, John H. Andersen, Verement, Tayne, Sean McNamara, William Gonzalez, Michael Pearce, Terry Crisp, Grunkle, Tia Marie, and Michael Jones. Thank you all very much for your support. And thank you to the 200 plus of you that are donating at the $5 plus level. You are scrolling on the LED panel behind me, and I'll make room for you on the crawl here at the end of the video. I look forward to our Sunday show this week. We're going to talk about the plaintiff that is seeking a Supreme Court ruling over the DMCA safe harbor and whether they can pierce the DMCA safe harbor more easily. And we'll go over the trademark that was filed on Wedge Live by, what was her name?
Carol Becker, I think.
Carol Becker. She has now been sued by John Edwards, the proprietor of Wedge Live. We'll go over those stories on Sunday. It'll be very interesting. I look forward to it. I love you very much. Thank you for joining me. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and joining me is
Tactical Bra.
And this has been our second episode of Tactical's Briefs. Thank you again. I'll see you on Sunday and in the next videos. Bye. Say bye. Say bye.
Bye.